Premalu, the blockbuster Malayalam romantic comedy, has been delighting audiences in theatres and now on OTT. As we watch the film, we realize the sheer craftsmanship of director Girish AD in setting up rom-coms, a genre, when done well, gives pure joy and perhaps the most rewatch value of all cinema brackets. We had to watch Girish's earlier films, Thanneermathan Dinangal and Super Sharanya, both of which are available on OTT Stream now. And thereby, we realized further how this man is a natural for rom-coms, as he strikes at all the essential ingredients of the genre, using tropes, subverting them, and often finding a sweet spot in between. There's also this phase-wise connectivity among his three films, almost fitting like a trilogy, with Thanneermathan dealing with innocent romance of school life, Super Sharanya moving similar characters to the college days, and finally Premalu, where characters coming out of college are trying to settle into professional and personal spaces at the same time. And so we thought it would be better to bring out our take not only on Premalu, which has anyway been discussed and reviewed in volumes, but on Girish AD's overall craftsmanship on the rom-coms, a deceptively difficult cinema genre. The romantic comedy, above everything else, centers and celebrates the mystery of attraction, and there's where Girish keeps things ambiguous, political and magical. Coup de foudre, pardon my French literally, a dramatic way of referring to love at first sight, is the device he adopts for his leading men. When you see one, you know. There's no need to think, no need to wait. Like Jason falls for Kirti in school, Deepu falls for Sharanya after a clash on the road, and Sachin falls for Reenu as he bumps into her in a wedding. Interestingly, it's not the same for the women, apparently more matured in Girish's films, as they take time to commit to themselves of being in love after initial denial, like in Thanneermathan or Premalu. It's an interesting commentary on the gender politics in the Indian context that way, where the girls have to be more sure, aware and contemplative before they commit, as they cannot afford the whimsies like the men do. Reenu suggests her friends that she is looking for someone more mature than her, who is well established and intends to be a mother by 30. Sachin, on the other hand, doesn't even have a clue about what he will do the next day, as Kartika points out to him. Kirti is instantly charmed by the more confident Ravi sir, but hardly considers Jason as a love interest. That is why Sona is all apprehensive of the relationship budding between Sharanya and Deepu, a random guy they met on the road. And as for Sharanya, the super prefix justifies as she discards the popular college brat Ajit, ignores the advances from the class lecturer Arun, but falls for Deepu. Not as a coup de foudre, but after careful consideration. But then why does Kirti fall for Jason and Reenu falls for Sachin eventually? When does attraction hit them first? Was it in the few seconds the camera halts on Reenu looking at the Ayurvedic medicine that Sachin brings for her in the running train? Was it when Ravi sir is bad-mouthing Jason in front of everyone and Kirti perhaps comes to look for him in the bus and gets bowled by his unpretentious expression of love? That's where Girish's magic comes in, as he never pinpoints and leaves it to us to consider. As we encounter so many times in love and life, the ambiguity speaks to the value of the rom-com. It's a genre that typically gives women pride of place and allows them to be charming, confused, and funny all at once. Full-blown characters who use their wit to move through the world before dropping to their facetious defense mechanisms for a sincere lean-in kiss. And there's how Girish also fits into the legacy of classic love stories, as they bring together people who should have never met because they live too far apart or because they come from different classes. A principle that originated in the works of Shakespeare, whose own Comedy of Errors sees impossible unions due to mistaken identities and jumps to conclusions. Girish's classic rom-coms rely on this concept, adapting it to our modern times in a pure Indian context. But then what makes Girish's film the most fun are not his leading men and women, but the sidekicks that accompany them. Premalu won't be the film it is had there been no Amal Davis. Who can forget Melvin's caricature and gestures asking Jason out to the juice corner adjacent to school? And love her or hate her, Sharanya is incomplete without Sona by her side. These colorful characters add the distinct flavor to Girish's film and thus taking them well ahead of a generic rom-com that no more attracts us. It is in the universe of the school life, college days or office premises that you relate and fall in love with his films. Think about characters who hardly have a role to play in the context of the film and how they elevate your experience of watching them. Think about this man nodding his head to Sachin's one-sided conversation in a crowded train compartment. You might just miss it, but if you catch his subtle actions, you can't resist laughing out loud. Or say Niharika in Premalu, Wanderlust as her friends call her. She asks $100 from Reenu within 5 seconds of meeting her. We watch her sitting on the road by the pub while the gang waits for the 6th member to join. You will be automatically reminded of the hippie-ish friend in your circle looking at Niharika in Girish's deft writing. It is this relatability to self, friends, chaos and surroundings where Girish's film thrive. You watch the sluggish habits of kids today as you watch Jason lying on the floor with his limbs spread, too lazy even to hold the phone that's resting on his ears, not moving an inch when his brother comes to the room searching for something. You remember your own college days when you watch Sharanya, Sona and friends refer to pickle on someone's face and then immediately question on whether the pickle they had is finished or not. Girish also brings in popular tested tropes of the rom-com genre in his films, like the wedding setting that always leans on for comical misunderstandings and personal reckonings, as the hero looks at his heroine in love, like the super fun montages as in the group trips in Girish's film with peppy background songs as the main characters get to know one another, spend a ton of time together and start deepening feelings for each other. And then complications, mostly funny caricaturist characters in Girish's film, another conventional trope which he uses to poke at the inflated Indian male ego. Ravi from Thanneermathan or Arun from Super Sharanya suggest how fake men can be and how inner demons come out when personal interests are hurt. Adi in Premalu is the same fake and selfish male in the corporate context, superficially progressive but deeply patriarchal inside. And there's where comes the contrast with Jason, Deepu or Sachin, who are all in love with girls apparently superior to them without much ego, ambition or anxiety. Yes, fantasy indeed, and so is a romantic comedy that always walks the thin line between reality and fantasy because love itself is somewhat magical. To make a film praising love is to recognize its power, its mystery, and its possibilities, and what this transformative power brings to his men is often what Girish puts across in his story. We do not know how successful Sachin will be in the UK, but we feel he will be more confident now that he has got Reenu by his side. We see a more composed Jason by the end of the film, and as for Deepu, perhaps he learns to better negotiate and settle a fight. Love is paradoxical and requires a paradoxical approach like in all Girish AD movies this far. The coup de foudre is real for Deepu but misleading for Ajit. Money differences matter and can be ignored. Misunderstandings bring people together or apart. Fate might have been there for Reenu, but it was hope that finally worked for Sachin, and we are talking about the same love story. And therein lies the beauty of Girish AD romantic comedies. That is all from us today. Thank you for watching.